Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of being a tanker truck driver. If you're thinking about getting a CDL license, one of the things that you might be thinking about is driving one of these big boys right over here. These are tractors that have tanker trailers behind it. Now, a lot of people don't really understand this business completely, so that's what this video is going to talk about on the pros and cons of whether or not you should actually become a tanker driver yourself. So let's get into some of the pros. Pro number one that most people are after is going to be a good salary. So tanker drivers actually make more than the average truck driver for a few different reasons. One, the higher skill set and the higher responsibility needed to drive one of these vehicles is going to be more important than an average truck driver. If we break down the actual numbers itself, my team told me that it's about $81,000 for an average tanker driver compared to about $75,000 for an average truck driver itself, right? So if you've been driving a truck for a while and you kind of want that next upgrade, maybe tanker driver is the way to go. Or maybe if you want to kind of just jump right into it, it might be a possibility for you too. So if you want to make good money and drive a tank, it might be a good option for you. Reason number two why a lot of people would decide to become a tanker driver is because of the benefit packages that it comes with, right? So not all tankers are going to be considered hazardous material. For instance, you could just be transporting milk in a tank. The more hazardous material that you are transporting, the more insurance requirements that your company is going to have. One of those requirements is going to be benefits, right? Now, most trucking companies, at least the bigger ones, do offer benefits. And when we're talking about benefits, we're talking about the entire thing that you can think of. So you're talking about medical, vision, dental, potentially. You're talking about vacation pay. There's even companies out there that transport milk that I know of that will pay you time and a half on your own birthday, which is pretty cool. Now, depending on which benefit packages fit you the best or what are your biggest needs, depends on what company that you do want to work for. But the cool thing about being a tanker driver is that you actually do get a good amount of benefits simply because of the risk that you're taking, especially in the hazardous material loads itself. The next pro to becoming a tanker driver is actually going to be a better work-life balance. So because you're driving a tank, and most tankers actually are not traveling across the country. They're either doing local or regional routes itself. Because when you think about it logically, say you're a tank that's filling up gas stations. You're going to be going to some type of refinery to fuel up, and then from there you're going to stop by multiple gas stations to empty out the actual tank itself. When you understand that, then you really know, hey, you can't really take from a tanker from point A to point B. Now, are there jobs that are over-the-road tankers? Yes, there are. And those are going to be more specialty materials like soaps or dyes or different chemicals or things like that that doesn't necessarily need to be on a local basis. But for the most part, tanker drivers, because of the pick up and drop off, because of the multiple stops that they have to do, are usually home every single night, which means they are able to spend more time with their family and friends and kids. If that's something that is valuable to you, maybe getting a tanker job is going to be something that benefits your life and the way you want it to go with your CDL license. The next pro that most people don't know about is going to be actually waiting less time. So when it comes to loading and unloading, that's one of the most difficult parts or the most boring parts as a truck driver, because the way it works in a normal trucking world is you're going to actually drive your tractor with a trailer to a warehouse. Usually there's going to be a line of trucks and you're going to have to wait behind. You're going to have to wait your turn. They're going to assign you a door. You're going to back into that door. And then eventually somebody would come in, load and unload your vehicle accordingly, right? Now, of course, it goes all over the place. There are going to be operations that get you in, get you out real quick. There's going to be certain operations that are called drop and hook, which means you just drop off your loaded trailer, pick up an empty trailer, or vice versa, and there is no waiting time. But the cool thing about tankers specifically is if you do have to load and unload, which most of you are going to have to do, because you can't leave a tanker full of product overnight. That means in the morning you got to fill it up, and throughout the day you're going to be emptying it out to your different loads. The way that's going to work is it takes about 45 minutes itself to load a full tanker, which is a lot less time in most cases than it takes to load by the time you're in and out of loading an actual tractor trailer. But when it comes to emptying it out, there are some huge hoses out there that come attached to the tanker, which means you could probably empty everything out 10, 15, 20 minutes max, depending on what kind of tankers that you do have, right? For people who do not know, there's two main types of tankers. You're going to have a tanker that's fully one tank itself, right? And that means the entirety of the tank is one. Or you're going to have multiple tanks inside of the one tanker itself. So that can determine on how fast or how slow you actually load and unload your vehicle, and depending on what type of products you're going to be transporting. So driving tankers is not all good. There are going to be some cons, so let's just be real with him and let's tell you exactly what some of the cons are that tanker drivers actually do experience. The biggest con is going to be in the beginning is going to be the driving challenges. Driving a tanker is going to be completely different than driving a normal tractor trailer because the cargo that you're moving is moving itself while you're moving. Now, I'm sure all of you guys have experienced this where you have a bottle in your back seat and you come to a stop and you press brake or you go. That bottle is going all over the place in the back seat. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you have a full tank full of liquid? Every time you come to a stop, there's going to be a surge or a wave that actually happens, and that wave is going to move the vehicle forward even though you're stopped. And same thing, every time you go to start, everything is going to then push back, and it makes it a lot more difficult to actually handle the vehicle correctly. Now, like anything else, this is a skill that can be learned with time, which means in the beginning it's going to be a little bit more scary, but as you get used to it, it's just going to be secondhand and it's going to be super easy to handle without any issues itself. Now, the other con when it comes to driving tankers is because of the dangerous factor, you're actually going to be drawing a lot more attention from the DOT. So DOT stands for Department of Transportation, and specifically in this, what we're talking about is DOT cops. So the one thing you have to understand about CDL drivers is that you can be pulled over at any given time by a DOT cop, and he does not have to have a reason. Car cops actually have to have a reason to pull you over in most cases, but DOT is special because they could just pull you over for an inspection without any issues. Now, because you're actually transporting something that is a little bit more dangerous, they're going to pay more attention to it and making sure that what you're transporting, everything is nice and safe, and the vehicle is in good condition to do so. Because if you think about it from their point of view, if you get into an accident or something's going wrong, and all of a sudden there's a major leak on the street, that's going to cause a lot of headaches and a lot of people a lot of problems itself, right? And that's why they actually pay a lot of attention to tanker drivers. Now, on top of that, every company is going to have what's called a safer score. And every time a DOT pulls you over on your company itself, it's actually going to be attached to the company, that report card. So if your company has a lot of bad report cards attached to that company itself, then it's going to be a lot harder to get away from the DOT because now you're a tanker and also you're a company that probably doesn't have a good record. And now that means you're going to get pulled over every single time a DOT officer finds you, simply because he wants to make sure that you are moving in the right direction. That's their job. Right? So if you want to avoid DOT, maybe tanker's not the best option for you. And there's other ways that you can actually drive a truck, make a lot of money doing it without messing with the DOT. All right, and then the last con when it comes to actually transporting tankers is going to be the physical work needed. So in a lot of normal trucking jobs itself, you really don't need to do much. You're going to load up, you're going to back up your trailer into a warehouse, somebody's going to unload it for you, you just get to chill and relax. When it comes to the tanker side, you're going to be the one loading and most time unloading the vehicle. That means you're going to have to move around all these hoses, you're going to have to make sure that all the connections are good, you're going to have to make sure that all the pressures are good and things like that too. So it's not just an easy street kind of job. Because being active is important for your everyday health, it might be actually healthier for you to get a tanker job than it is just a normal sitting job. Because if you're sitting all day, every day without moving your body, you know you're not going to live that long without any issues. If you want to reduce the amount of issues and extend the amount of life that you have, you want to make sure that you're getting out and moving when you can. And tankers will force you to do that. And maybe you even get to save money on a gym membership since you don't really have to work out as much if you're being active with the tanker itself. So if you are interested in getting yourself a CDL license, if you want to drive this vehicle right over here, you're going to need to get yourself a CDL Class A license. And the endorsements that you're going to need is going to be the following. So you're going to need to get yourself a CDL permit, which means you have to pass general knowledge, air brakes, and combination vehicle. And if you want to drive tanker, that means you have to pass a tanker endorsement written test. And if you want to drive something that's considered hazardous material, you have to get the hazardous material written test as well. From there, you're going to take the entire road test in a normal truck. You don't have to take it in a tanker. And then from there, as long as you have those endorsements, you're able and legal to drive tanker vehicles. Now, if you don't have any experience driving hazmat, you're probably not going to be the first choice for some company trying to hire you right off the street. But there are companies out there, like I said, that transport milk or water or eggs as an example, and they all hire people without any experience. You could be getting yourself into the tanker field itself. So if you are interested in learning more, check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Thanks. Have a great day.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. It's really going to help us out. Click on that button. And if you want to continue yourself on your road to freedom, here's more videos to watch. There's endless amounts. Hopefully we get to see each other one day very soon. Thanks.